If you're anything like me, you've spent a lot of time trying to fine-tune your morning routine to make it perfect, to make sure that your day gets started on the right foot and to reach those productivity goals and to smash your day. But while you often put a lot of focus on morning routines for this amazing day that you're going to have, the amazing day depends on how well you've slept that night. And your sleep is largely influenced by your bedtime routines. So maybe your focus should be placed elsewhere. So let's help you create the most effective nighttime routine ever. If a morning routine helps you get out of bed to lay the foundations of having an epic day, then a pre-bed routine is the opposite. An effective nighttime routine should focus on three main principles. Firstly, setting yourself up for a successful tomorrow. Secondly, activating the parasympathetic nervous system. I'll explain what that fancy word is in a minute. And thirdly, optimizing everything for sleep. The most overlooked factor of an effective nighttime routine is knowing when to start it. When to start your morning routine is easy. You just start it as soon as you wake up. But starting an evening routine is way more challenging, and trying to stick to it, so hard. There's too many distractions. You've got gadgets, new shows on Netflix, your social lives, catching up with friends, or winding down with a glass of wine, ending up on TikTok. There's just so many distractions. So how do you start it? Where do you start it? Well, sometimes the most impactful changes are the simplest. A huge part of sleeping better comes down to waking up and falling asleep at consistent times. And by practicing this, I've noticed that I can easily fall asleep, and I can even wake up at the intended time without an alarm clock. This is a way more natural way to approach sleep, and you'll feel far more refreshed for the rest of the day. So when should you start your nighttime routine? Now, every adult needs between 7 and 9 hours of sleep, so figure out when you need to wake up and work backwards from there. My recommendation is that you start your routine earlier than you think is necessary, as there's bound to be things that come up and distract you. Personally, I need about 2 hours to fully wind down before I fall asleep. And it's helpful to create a system that will consistently remind you, as relying on willpower, things will likely fall apart. So there's things like alerts on your phone, even TikTok actually have an alert, it's time for sleep. You can also set a reoccurring phone alarm and put the title, it's time to start your bedtime routine. So now that you've initiated the routine, the first thing is to start with your bathroom necessities, like brushing your teeth, washing your face, having a shower, whatever else you need to do in the bathroom. Do this at the beginning of your routine. Otherwise, if you do it before you go to sleep, you'll startle yourself awake if you wash your face with cold water right before you're going to fall asleep. So doing it at the start of your routine is really helpful. Next, get set for your day coming up. Set yourself up for a successful day. You can approach this in two ways. First is with journaling. You can list 3 amazing things that have happened today, or you can write down what would have made today better. You can also list any other thoughts and ideas that are bouncing around your head. If you write them down quick, don't think about it too much. This is a science-backed way to free your mind of any unconscious thoughts to clear the path for a better sleep. That way, that new holiday idea or new business idea will be safely written down and you won't be worrying about it in the back of your mind when you're trying to fall asleep. Second is to ask yourself, is there anything you need to do now to make tomorrow easier for your future self? Like making a to-do list or making a note of something that needs to be remembered. There's so many things that we have to do, so many things that we'll have to remember each day. For example, if I have an important appointment that I need to remember to bring everything, I can write a sticky note and then just put that on the bathroom mirror or the fridge. And it really takes the stress away of trying to keep it in the front of your mind to make sure that it's carried out the next day. Having your next day tasks written out and planned really helps you to stay organized. It sounds obvious, but I hear so many people say that they're stressed, and when I ask them what they do to keep themselves organized to help deal with the stress, do they keep a journal or a notepad or a list of things? They say, oh no. Well, I think no wonder you can't sleep. Now, have you ever heard the saying, fight or flight? This is what is said to people when you're referring to what your body will do in a certain situation. It's referring to your nervous system. Your nervous system is so powerful and can help you access powerful tools when you need them. Before I teach you how to access those tools, let's look at what I'm talking about exactly. So we have the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. You don't have to remember those names, but the first one, the sympathetic, This is your fight or flight mode. And this is what is activated when you're dealing with higher stress situations. So your heart pounding, you start feeling sweaty, you start feeling nervous. Now your other one, your parasympathetic nervous system, this is the rest and digest one. This is dealing with the more relaxing feelings, feeling peaceful, you have a slow heart rate, chilled feelings. That's that system. Now for the best sleep, we want to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. And this is leading up to bedtime. Now your body's really smart, but also tricky. So you have to pay attention to what's going on around you and what you're doing before bed. Are you watching a scary movie? Are you having a few drinks with a curry? Now, which nervous system do you think is working then? Yes, definitely the sympathetic one. This is the one where you're having your heart rate raised. Now, having a relaxing bath, a chilled out book, some chamomile, which system are you activating then? Yes, your parasympathetic nervous system. There are so many ways to activate the right nervous system response, such as having a lower temperature. Right before sleep, if you set your air conditioning to a cooler level, or you can use a chill pad or reduce your clothing while you're in bed. I live in a hot climate, so I set my aircon to 62 degrees and sleep with thin pajamas with a nice light blanket. Setting the room at a cooler temperature really helps to lower your nervous system and lower that stress response. Also, avoiding things that stimulate you, like screens of all of your gadgets, high intensity loud music, or other things that your granddad wouldn't approve of late at night. Ideally, you shouldn't be using technology, any screens during this time while you're trying to wind down. But if you must, turn the brightness all the way down and try wearing some blue light blockers. I have my own brand, so I know that they definitely work. They're called J's, and I put my heart and soul into these ones. Now, this is really important because blue light stimulates the photoreceptors in your eyes, and this suppresses the melatonin release from your pineal gland. More big words. Don't worry about it, you don't need to know what they mean. I'm just letting you know these are the tools that you can use to sleep better. But basically saying that blue light confuses your brain. It thinks that it's daytime and it stops releasing melatonin. That's the chemical that helps you feel sleepy. Another thing is to just be mindful of what you're reading before bed. I was reading Matthew Walker, How We Sleep. He actually says, if you fall asleep reading this book, that's great. My husband, on the other hand, he was reading business books and he was getting all excited about some new venture that he was going to do. So be mindful of what you're reading. Once I do that and I'm reading a Kindle or I'm lying in bed, it's time to do some slow, deep breathing. This is telling your body that you're safe and it's activating the rest and digest nervous system. This is the one that makes you relax. It's one of the best tools you can use to fall asleep. But there's also some other things to think about, such as the people around you. If you're living by yourself, you only need to worry about you. But if you have roommates or you're living with your family or your significant other that shares the bed with you, then consider how your routine may influence them and vice versa. For example, if your significant other sleeps before you, like if you're different chronotypes, that means you're a night owl or a morning lark, you like to stay up late or you like to get up early, those are real terms. Consider doing your night routine activities in a way that might not disrupt them before they go to sleep. But if your family stays up later than you, let them know that you're going to bed so they can keep the noise levels down. And this is even more important if you work shifts. You have to communicate with everybody. If you want to know the best tips ever for night shifters, click here and watch this video next. It has the best tips coming from an experienced shift worker. Click here and watch this one next.